Chapter 1945. Putting Little Bean. Qin Ning shouted. Then she went upstairs and downstairs to look for them. When she saw the housekeeper, she asked, "Have you seen the children?" "No. I didn't see him, Mississippi." Qin Ning suddenly had a bad feeling. Then she ran out in her indoor slippers without putting on her shoes. "Have you seen the twins?" Along the way she asked the bodyguards and security guards. "No, Mississippi. What's wrong?" "The children are gone. They're not in the villa." "Could it be that they're playing hide-and-seek with you?" the bodyguard asked. "No, they never play such childish games." If Qin Ning didn't know about them before, she might think that the children were playing hide-and-seek with her and would look for them. However, on their first night together, Qin Ning suggested hide-and-seek. Little Bean and Pudding laughed at her. At that time the conversation went like this: Qin Ning, "Babies, let's play hide-and-seek?" Pudding, "Auntie, how old are you?" Little Bean, "Auntie, I always thought that you were a smart child. I didn't expect you to play such a boring game. Is it fun to hide and be found?" "I don't even know what's so fun about this game." Qin Ning, "Isn't it fun when you find them?" Little Bean, "Why would I be happy? I didn't really lose them. I hid them on purpose." Pudding, "Auntie, it's late. Go to bed." Qin Ning, from the previous conversation, it could be seen that the twins didn't like childish games. Therefore she was sure that they weren't hiding. "Don't worry, Mississippi. Let's go to the surveillance room." "Yes, the surveillance room." After speaking, Qin Ning immediately led the bodyguards to the surveillance room. Then she hurriedly pulled up the video recording. After watching it, Qin Ning's heart turned cold. Because the entire video showed that the twins didn't appear at all. Such a big villa, all the front and back were thousands of square meters. There was a garden and a swimming pool. However, they couldn't find a trace of the two children, and it had only been half an hour. "Right, I'll call them." Qin Ning suddenly remembered that Pudding and Little Bean both had phones. When she called them, she realized that their phones were all turned off. Qin Ning was about to go crazy. God, her brother and sister-in-law trusted her with the child, but she lost it. When Qin Ning's father came out of the video conference, he realized that it was a mess outside. "That is over. The kids are gone." Qin Ning cried. "What child is missing?" Pudding and Little Bean, "Are gone. Weren't you at home just now?" "Yeah, but it happened in the blink of an eye and no one has ever seen them. How could that be?" "Do you think he can disappear into thin air?" "Search for him, search carefully, even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground to find him." Qin Chu's second uncle was also anxious. With all the security guards, bodyguards, butlers, nannies, from the front to the back, the basement, the wine cellar, the garden, even the swimming pool, there was still no news of the child. At this time, Qin Ning and her father were on the verge of collapse. They were 3-year-old children and there were 2 of them. If they really went missing, Qin Chu and Huamin would probably go crazy. "I'll call my sister-in-law and ask if she went to find them." Although Qin Ning knew that it was unlikely, she still called Huamin with a glimmer of hope. "Hello?" Huamin's gentle voice came from the other end of the phone. Chapter 1946. "Sis-in-law, what are you and my brother up to?" Qin Ning asked guiltily. "We're playing golf." Are you still with Rick?" "Yeah, we're still in New Orleans." "Oh, when are you coming back?" "Tonight. We're flying back tonight." "What's wrong?" "Sup, Ning Ning?" "No, nothing. I just wanted to ask. Did Pudding and Little Bean call you?" "It was 7 in the morning. Pudding sent me a picture and then nothing happened." "What are the 2 of them doing?" "Yeah, they played chess with my daddy for the whole morning." "Tell them to behave and not to bully your grandpa." "Yeah, I will." "Sis-in-law, you guys have fun. See you tonight." "Okay." After hanging up, Huamin muttered to himself. Ning Ning sounded a bit weird. "What's wrong, honey?" Qin Chu asked. "Nothing. Ning Ning just called to ask when we're coming back. Maybe my uncle asked her to." "Oh, okay. We'll leave tonight." Qin Chu continued to play golf with Rick. He didn't know that it was because the twins were missing. The family was in a panic. Qin Chu's uncle even alerted the police in Los Angeles to help look for the twins. Qin Ning almost cried when she remembered that. She even added Suyu on WeChat. Pudding always video called Suyu, so Qin Ning remembered his WeChat ID. Afraid that Suyu would reject her, she even added a note. "I'm the twins' aunt." Sure enough, Qin Chu accepted her request in less than 5 seconds. "Hello, Mr. Su." "Hello. I'm the twins' aunt. I know. You're Qin Ning. Pudding had been creating opportunities for Qin Ning and Suyu so they were familiar with each other. Yes, I'm Qin Ning. So, you're looking for me? It was daytime in Los Angeles but midnight in China. Suyu was about to go to bed when he saw that someone had added him on WeChat. He was puzzled. Who would be so bored at night? Did Pudding and Little Bean send you a video? Recently? Suyu was surprised. Yes, the most recent one. I think it was last night. Before going to bed, they're used to sending me voice messages, telling me about the happy things that happened today and sharing them with me. Oh, what's wrong? Suyu asked cautiously. It's nothing. I was just asking. Pudding and Little Bean really like to joke around. If they tell you something, don't take it to heart, okay? I know. I've been dealing with them for 3 years. I'm used to it. Suyu chuckled. It's good. I'll leave you to it then. I still have things to do. After speaking, Qin Ning put down her phone. Then she felt as if her heart was on fire. Daddy, what should we do? Big brother and sister-in-law are coming back tonight. If the twins are lost, I don't want to live anymore. I even told Big Brother that it was fine. Tears flowed down Qin Ning's cheeks as she blamed herself. You're all useless. How can you not even look after the kids? Qin Chu's second uncle pointed at the bodyguards angrily. Luckily, they were all handpicked by Qin Chu. It was said that 2 of them were retired Navy SEALs. But with so many people, they couldn't even look after the 2 3-year-old babies. They didn't even know how they disappeared. Qin Chu's second uncle looked down at his watch. It had been 2 hours since the twins went missing. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. They didn't even dare to think if they were kidnapped or if something bad happened to them. Daddy, what should we do now? Qin Ning asked while crying. Chapter 1947. We'll have to go out and look for them, but we can't make too much noise, Qin Ning's father said worriedly. Qin Ning knew that in a complicated place like the United States, if she announced that the twins were missing, people would know that the twins were exposed. Especially if people found out that they were the children of the chairman of the GK Corporation, people with ulterior motives would put the twins in danger. Therefore, they had to look for them quietly. The problem was they didn't know where the twins were. Without a single clue, how were they supposed to start looking? At this moment, in front of a luxury jewelry store in a busy area, 2 identical twins were pacing back and forth in front of the door. Sis, we're just buying a gift for handsome Sue. Why are you being so secretive? Why didn't you bring Auntie here? Little Bean complained. If we bring Auntie here, we won't be able to pick out the gift ourselves. But we didn't bring our phones. Won't Auntie be worried if she can't find us? We'll be back in a bit. What's there to be afraid of? Pudding replied calmly. But we don't have to avoid all the surveillance cameras in the house. Will Grandpa and Auntie think that we disappeared into thin air and traveled to another world? Will they be scared to death? Why do you have so many questions? If you're worried, you can go back first. If Auntie finds out where we are, do you think we'll be able to come out alone? But why do we have to come out alone? Little Bean was confused. Obviously, the 2 sisters didn't see eye to eye. Do you like to have so many bodyguards following you everywhere you go? Pudding asked aggressively. Little Bean immediately shook her head. No, I don't like it either. But I have no choice. Mommy said that Huasiqian is a big bad guy who wants to catch us. Handsome Sue also told us to be careful of that psycho. But we're not in China. We're in the United States. I don't believe that Huasiqian's people can do whatever they want here. You're right. Little Bean nodded in agreement. If Auntie finds out where we are, she'll definitely send people to follow us. To be honest, I want to experience what it's like to be homeless in a foreign country. Pudding said maturely. Are you looking for trouble? I don't feel safe at all. Let's hurry up and go home. I don't want anyone to kidnap us. After all, we're so pretty, Little Bean said confidently. Don't be so narcissistic, Miss Little Bean. In the big United States, people like us don't care about our looks. The beauties in Europe and America all have high noses, blonde hair and blue eyes. No one will care about us. Don't be so delusional. Before Little Bean could say anything, Pudding opened the door and walked into the mall. Little Bean immediately followed behind her sister. Perhaps because of her personality, Little Bean wasn't as bold as Pudding, nor was she as mature and experienced. She was still a little childish, so she relied on Pudding a little when she went out. Pudding was the one who made all the decisions. Of course, when it came to food, she wouldn't compromise. Hi, baby. The beautiful clerk had never seen such a small customer before, so she was very curious. Sis, I want to see a man's belt. Pudding looked up and said in fluent English. Belt. Are you buying it as a gift? Yes. Pudding nodded. But where are your parents? The clerk was confused. This was a luxury jewelry store. Chapter 1948. Every belt from this brand cost more than $1,000. She didn't think the twins could afford such an expensive belt. They didn't come. We went out alone, Pudding replied calmly. Ah, the salesgirl looked at them in disbelief. So, can I choose a gift for my friends? Pudding said proudly. But the belts here aren't cheap. The salesgirl tried to explain the price to the twins. I know. There are many Versace brands in China. I shop there often. After Pudding said this, the salesgirl was shocked again. However, Pudding was right. Suyu was a Versace fan, so most of his clothes, wallets, shoes and daily necessities were from this brand. The twins and Suyu often went to stores like this, and Suyu often bought them things when he went shopping. He even bought some for Huamin, but Huamin had never worn them. We have to go home soon. Can we not waste time? Pudding looked at the shocked salesgirl and reminded her. Come with me. The salesgirl finally came back to her senses and carefully led the twins to the sofa in the middle. Then he thoughtfully poured them some warm water to drink. Do you have juice? Little Bean asked. Please. We're here to shop, not to eat. Pudding said helplessly. Sis, please bring me the newest and most expensive ones. I only want men's belts. Thank you. Pudding sat on the sofa with her legs crossed. The twins were wearing dresses with suspenders, white lantern sleeves and dark blue miniskirts. They were very cute and looked like socialites. One look and you could tell they weren't ordinary kids. Even their black leather shoes were handmade by a famous brand. They were extremely low-key and luxurious. Soon, the salesgirl brought over many belts according to Pudding's request. Baby, which one do you like? Put them down first. I'll take a look. Pudding looked at each design and color carefully. I don't think handsome Sue needs a belt. He has mountains of luxury goods at home. What's the point of giving him a belt? Even if there's a mountain of them in his house, none of them are from us, Pudding retorted. That's true. If you don't want to buy it, then shut up. You're so annoying. Pudding continued to look at the belt. Little Bean drank her water and stopped looking at Pudding and the belt. He looked around. A black belt with a classic Versace pattern attracted Pudding's attention. What was different from the previous designs was that the woman in the design, which was the head of Medusa, had diamonds embedded in her eyes. It was shiny and beautiful. Sis, how much is this one? Pudding pointed at it and asked. This is a limited edition. There aren't many of them, so the price will be higher. The beautiful shop assistant explained patiently. So, how much is that? Pudding asked. More than $5,000. Well, it's really expensive. 30,000 yuan. Little Bean put down her glass and exclaimed. Sure, I'll take this then. Please wrap it up for me, Pudding ordered. What the? Big sis. Are you crazy? Do you have that much money? Little Bean lowered her voice and asked worriedly. Chapter 1949. Don't you have more? The red packets Auntie gave us and the ones we won from Grandpa are enough. Why do you count me in? I didn't say I was going to give handsome Sue a belt. Little Bean glared at her, unwilling to take out the money. Then what are you going to give him? Don't tell me you're not going to give handsome Sue anything. You know how much he loves us. Are you going to be an ingrate? Of course not. You don't have to tell me how good handsome Sue is to us, Little Bean refuted. So, what are you going to give him? Pudding continued to interrogate her. I haven't decided yet. Little Bean wasn't good at thinking. She was the lazy one. Then cut the crap. Give me the money. I'll pay you back when I get back. I can sell my stocks. Pudding forced her to. In the end, Little Bean pouted. Although she was unwilling, she still took out the money. I don't want you to pay me back. You have to tell handsome Sue that we bought the belt. Humph. Okay, Pudding agreed without hesitation. Finally, under the astonished gaze of the beautiful shop assistant, the twins paid a huge sum of more than $5,000. They bought the exquisite belt with a bonus of more than 30,000 yuan. In fact, when they came, Pudding wanted to buy Suyu a gift when they went back. After all, they came so far away. She wanted to give handsome Sue something to make him feel touched. Also, when they came, Mommy told her that the whole trip would only last for half a month. Pudding calculated the days and knew they would be back in a few days. That was why she wanted to sneak out to buy a gift. Keep the gift a secret. Don't tell Handsome Sue when you video call him. Do you hear me? Pudding reminded her. I know. When the twins came out, they took a taxi and said they wanted to go to the busiest shopping street. Of course, they took a taxi back. Since they were fluent in English, it wasn't difficult for them to communicate. Plus, Grandpa Sue didn't live in a remote area. There weren't many people on the way, so they didn't have to worry about safety. 4.5 hours after the twins went missing, the family was in a panic. The Los Angeles police began to search for the twins. By this time, the twins had returned home. Miss Sir, the twins are back. The security guard at the door called them. What? Where is she? Chin Chu's second uncle was so excited that he almost had a heart attack. It's at the door. He just went in. It'll be here soon. Less than a minute after hanging up the phone, the security guard at the door sent the two little guys back. When Chin Ning saw them, she immediately rushed over and hugged them tightly. Then she burst into tears. Auntie, what are you doing? Little Bean and Pudding didn't expect their family to react so strongly. Where did you two go? Do you know how worried we were? Chin Chu's second uncle finally heaved a sigh of relief. If she didn't come back soon, he would really go crazy. Most importantly, Chin Chu and Huamin would arrive in Los Angeles at 8 p.m. If the child went missing, how was he going to explain it to them? Wasn't he a sinner? We just went shopping. That's all, Little Bean said weakly. Then why didn't you tell me? I could have taken you there. Chin Ning was anxious and angry. We wanted to go out on our own. We don't like the feeling of being followed everywhere. That's how it is in China. Mommy said there are bad people, so we understand. But it's so far away in the States. I thought it was a rare opportunity, Pudding explained. Then why didn't you bring your phone? It's out of battery. I've been charging it. Chin Zhao Zhao, Chin Moo Moo. You two are too much. When your parents come tonight, I'm going to tell them about this. Chin Ning was so angry that she couldn't stop crying. Luckily the twins were back. Otherwise she would have wanted to die. Hearing that she was going to tell their parents, the twins' faces changed drastically. Chapter 1950. Andy, we were just kidding. Don't take it so seriously. Little Bean immediately gave in. Who's kidding? He scared me to death. I'm going to tell my brother and sister-in-law. Ooh, just wait for your deaths. Humph. With that, Chin Ning stood up and turned to leave. What should we do? He seems really angry. Little Bean was worried. He's really mad. Pudding nodded. So, did we go too far this time? Little Bean asked guiltily. Pudding was silent. Pudding, Little Bean, you two are too much. He scared me to death. I almost had a heart attack. Do you know how worried we were? Why didn't you tell us when you went out? How did you get out without us seeing you? Chin Chu's uncle was still in shock. Grandpa, I'm sorry. When we went out, we deliberately avoided the surveillance cameras and went into a blind spot. We timed it so that no one saw us. We just wanted to get rid of the bodyguards and Auntie. Pudding lowered her head and apologized to Chin Chu. But you know what? Something happened to you two. How could your Auntie and I live? How could we face your parents and grandparents? We didn't think too much. We just went out to buy something and came back. We didn't expect it to take so long, Pudding told the truth. My goodness. Thank goodness you came back. Otherwise, I'd have to ask the entire Los Angeles police force to help us find you. Chin Chu's uncle heaved a sigh of relief. Grandpa, I'm a little hungry. Little Bean walked over and stood beside her father, acting cute. Oh, my little baby. You know you're hungry. Grandpa Chin pinched Little Bean's cheek and immediately turned to the housekeeper. Go and prepare something for the two babies. Yes, sir. Wait a minute. Tell the kitchen that I want to eat Chinese food today. Squirrel mandarin fish, spicy pork trotters, fried prawns with scallions and fried mushrooms. All right. I want borscht too. You can eat that much. Grandpa Chin was shocked. Of course. Grandpa, let me tell you, I can eat when I'm at home. Every time the housekeeper in the kitchen sees me, Little Bean stayed downstairs and changed the topic to appease second grandpa. She tried to persuade him not to make this a big deal. They didn't want their parents to know about this. It was fine if their father knew because he doted on them and couldn't bear to tell them. If Mommy found out, he would be dead meat. They had all personally experienced how scary their mommy was when she was angry. Therefore Little Bean gave Pudding a look. Pudding immediately turned around and went upstairs to coax Qin Ning, who had the most difficulty. Second grandpa was an elder, so he should be easy to deal with. As long as she coaxed him and acted coquettishly, his heart would soften. Of course she would keep her mouth shut, but Aunt Qin Ning was a hot little pepper. Moreover, she must be very angry with them for being so aggrieved and frightened. When Pudding went upstairs, Qin Ning had just washed her face in the bathroom. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. She was such a strong person and rarely cried. Since she was young, she had always been strong and wanted to do the best in everything she did. That was why she became a member of GK's board of directors at such a young age and participated in many major investment decisions. But today he was forced to cry by 2 3-year-old girls. And he cried very miserably. "Hello, Auntie." Pudding poked her head into the room and called out tentatively. "Get out. I don't want to talk to you." Qin Ning turned her head away. She was so angry. She had been worried about them for more than 4 hours. Every day felt like a year. But they went shopping. What could be more infuriating than this? Chapter 1951. "Auntie, I know you're angry," Pudding said guiltily. Qin Ning kept a straight face and didn't say anything. "But we did this for a reason. Can you at least give us a chance to explain?" "No, there's no chance to explain. If you want to explain, you'll have to explain to your parents tonight." Qin Ning covered her ears. She knew her highly intelligent niece was trying to trick her again. So she had to try her best not to be tricked by Pudding. Otherwise she would have been scared for nothing. "Auntie, to be honest, I always thought you were the smartest person in our family. Don't flatter me. Besides, don't try to trick me. The whole world knows your mommy is the smartest person in our family." Haha. Pudding couldn't help but laugh at Qin Ning's cute appearance. "Kid, why are you laughing?" "Auntie, I have to say it even if you don't want to listen. Let me show you something first." Then Pudding took out the belt she bought for Suyu and showed it to Qin Ning. "Belt? It's for men. You're giving this to your daddy? Wait, your daddy's birthday is over?" Qin Ning murmured to herself. "It's for handsome Su. For Suyu?" Qin Chu was slightly surprised. "Yeah. Although we usually make small gifts for handsome Su, nothing expensive. After all, we're still young and don't have the ability to make money. Before we came to the States, I thought that since it was rare for us to come so far, we had to buy something for handsome Su. Coincidentally, you gave us some pocket money and we won a lot of money playing chess with second grandpa this morning. Together with Little Bean's money, we had enough to buy this. So, you didn't spend the money because you wanted to buy a gift for Suyu." Qin Ning was a little shocked. She knew the twins were good at spending money, so she gave them red packets. But after these days she didn't hear anything from them. She thought they didn't need anything, but now it seemed that they were saving money to buy a gift for Suyu. "Pudding, you two are so good to Suyu." Qin Ning turned around and patted Pudding's head. "Auntie, although we're young, we know how to be grateful. There are only 2 kinds of people in this world that deserve your kindness. One is that they treat you well and the other is that they know how good you are. Handsome Su is both of them. Ever since we were born, he's been doting on us and we've replaced the years when Daddy wasn't with us. I'm so grateful for everything handsome Su has done for us. Even if he likes us because he likes Mommy, at least he treats us well from the bottom of his heart." Pudding's words touched Qin Ning's heart. Such sentimental words coming from the mouth of a little girl like Pudding really had a different flavor. Before Qin Ning could respond, Pudding continued, "Versace isn't a new brand. It's just one of the luxurious accessories, but it's handsome Su's favorite brand. He has a lot of things from this brand, so I wanted to buy him something from this brand. As for why it's a belt, guess, Auntie. Because the belt gives off an aura?" Qin Ning guessed. Pudding shook her head with a smile. "Because the belt is the cheapest? You don't have enough money?" Qin Ning's imagination ran wild. Pudding continued to shake her head. Okay, just tell me the answer. I really want to know." Qin Ning finally decided to give up. She really couldn't guess. Chapter 1952. "No wonder you don't have a boyfriend at your age. You don't even know this common sense." Qin Ning, "Let me tell you, the belt is meant to tie the man down for the rest of his life." Tie him down for the rest of his life? Qin Ning was dumbfounded. What's with that expression? Pudding was speechless. "My dear niece, is it really okay for you to give Suyu a belt? It's a gift from your boyfriend. He's an elder, isn't it awkward for you to tie him down for the rest of his life? The whole world knows I like handsome Su, but I'm too young. When I grow up, handsome Sue will be old. When he was born, I wasn't born. When I was born, he was already old. Pudding even pulled out 2 lines from an ancient poem. Qin Ning was ashamed of herself. Her niece was only 3 years old but was already a master at flirting. Yeah, age is a big problem, so you should give up on this idea. No, handsome Sue is a good man, I can't give him up. Although I'm young and not the right age, there's someone in my family who's suitable for him. If I bring him to my family, I'll tie him down for the rest of his life. Are you talking about me? Qin Ning had a bad feeling about this. You're finally enlightened. Ah, Qin Zhaozhao, don't be so stubborn, okay? I told you, Sue, you and I aren't suitable for each other. What are you talking about? Don't be so stubborn. Besides, Sue isn't my cup of tea. You don't even know him, so you're saying he's not your cup of tea. You're insincere. Pudding pouted. Qin Ning, Pudding, you can't joke about this. Even you Lao can't just randomly pull strings, right? Pudding ignored Qin Ning and video called her. Hi, handsome Sue. Hi, Pudding. Good girl, I sent you Little Bean's phone number and you knew it was me? Pudding smiled sweetly. Of course. Your Uncle Sue isn't that stupid. What are you doing? I just went out to talk to someone and went back to the company. What about you? I went out with my sister. Still in LA? Sue asked with a smile. Pudding nodded. It's LA fun? It's fun, and Auntie and second grandpa treat us very well. As long as you're happy. Did you miss me? Pudding whined. Of course I do. I think about it every day and look forward to it every day. When will you be back? Sue. Daddy and Mommy are coming to Los Angeles to pick us up tonight. The day after tomorrow, we'll go back to Grandpa's house for one more night before leaving. When you guys come back, I'll treat you guys to a big meal. Sue smiled at Pudding. But I still have a small wish. Can you promise me? Sure. Sue would grant any request. He didn't even ask for anything. The extent to which he doted on the twins was second only to their biological father, Qin Chu. I want little aunt to come back to China with us for a while, but she won't. Help me persuade her. Pudding pointed the camera at Qin Ning. Qin Ning felt extremely awkward. Her eyes were red from crying and she washed her face. She really didn't have any makeup on. She wasn't pretty at all, okay? Sue was also caught off guard. Hi. He could only awkwardly greet Qin Ning. Qin Ning smiled awkwardly. Hi. If you're not busy, you can come back with them. I can see that they really like you. Hearing Pudding's words, Sue really did try to persuade Qin Ning. Qin Ning felt even more awkward. Chapter 1953. Oh, I have something to do, so I don't have time to go back. Qin Ning replied softly. Auntie, are you really going to embarrass handsome Sue? Pudding began to argue with Qin Ning. No, it has nothing to do with pride. Little brat. Don't cause trouble, okay? Did you mean what you said to me before? What? Qin Ning was surprised. About how handsome Sue is. Pudding said innocently. Ahem. Pudding, can you not say that? Qin Ning coughed violently and didn't even dare to look at Sue. Don't be shy, Auntie. You're both adults, I understand. What do you understand? Qin Zhaozhao, if you keep acting like this, I'll really have to talk to your mommy. Hearing Qin Ning's words, Pudding immediately became obedient. Handsome Sue, that's all. See you later. Okay, remember to come back soon. Your grandpa misses you. Sue's eyes were filled with gentleness. After hanging up the video call, Qin Ning immediately picked up Pudding and pressed her down on the bed. Pudding, why did you set me up again? It's so embarrassing. Do you know how embarrassed I was just now? My eyes were red without makeup. So you must have been scared to death. No, you're beautiful. And you have to be confident. Come on, don't try to get away with it. When your mommy comes back, you can tell her. Hearing Qin Ning bring up this topic again, Pudding immediately gave in. He immediately admitted defeat. Little Auntie, we were indeed in the wrong this time. So we sincerely apologize to you. Pudding looked pitiful. You think you can just apologize? You two almost scared me and your grandpa to death. But we didn't go out to play. We did it for handsome Sue's present. Auntie, can you not tell Mommy? We won't do it again. No, I have to teach you a lesson. Qin Ning was determined. Mommy knows we'll be miserable. Last time when I made a mistake, she locked me up. It was dark and damp in my little warehouse. I was scared. Can you please? Don't make a fuss, okay? Pudding held Qin Ning's hand with tears in her eyes, swaying left and right. Sure enough, Qin Ning was shaken. Auntie, I know you're really worried about us. That's why you're angry and worried. We promise that we won't let you worry about us in the future, okay? But the situation this time is extremely bad. That's why we apologize. Auntie, didn't you make any mistakes when you were young? We are still children, isn't it normal to be naughty? Auntie, you can't expect too much from us. Besides, every time Mommy scolds us, she doesn't feel good either. This time we came on vacation to have fun. If the whole family is unhappy because of this, then the gains do not make up for the losses. We won't come again in the future. Pudding pouted. Alright, you little vixen, you've successfully brainwashed me. I won't say anything, but I don't know if your second grandpa will tell anyone. Don't worry, Little Bean will handle second grandpa. Pudding smiled. Qin Ning, little brat, you're amazing. You're so scheming at such a young age. Let's see who dares to marry you when you grow up. You should worry about yourself, Auntie. After all, you're already so big. Then Pudding skipped down the stairs. Qin Ning was left behind with an unconvinced look on her face. That night, Qin Chu and Huamin flew to Los Angeles. Hello, second uncle. Huamin smiled and greeted Qin Chu's second uncle as soon as he walked in. I haven't seen you for a few years and you're still the same, you haven't changed at all. Qin Chu's second uncle exclaimed. Second uncle, where are my daughters? Qin Chu was worried about his daughters. He looked around but didn't see the twins. Chapter 1954. She's upstairs watching cartoons with Qin Ning. Qin Chu's uncle heaved a sigh of relief. He was glad that the twins were fine. Otherwise, how would he explain this to his nephew and niece-in-law? Talk to my uncle first. There are many things you don't know about the company that you can ask. I've been at the headquarters for a long time. I know a lot more than our dad. Okay, I won't stand on ceremony. Huamin replied with a smile. Towards Qin Chu's uncle, Huamin respected him as much as his parents-in-law. The Qin family was indeed suitable for business. In their generation, the two old men were very active in the business world. In this generation, Qin Ning and Qin Chu were also leaders in the financial world and were doing very well. Huamin had always thought that he wasn't suitable for business because he didn't like to socialize. Being a doctor was better. He just needed to focus on treating people. But now, Myung, you've been managing the company well these past few years. You have a good business mind. Uncle, you overestimate me. I don't know much. It's just that my dad and my husband have everything planned out so I can just follow their instructions. Also, my assistants are very good. I really didn't do it alone. Don't be modest with me. Chu told me that you're talented and smart. No matter what you learn faster than ordinary people. I'm really happy that the Qin family has such an outstanding niece-in-law like you. I'm going to retire soon. You and Chu have to take care of Ningning in the future. Uncle, Ningning is very good. She's very good. She's been listening to board meetings since she was 13. She knows more than me. I should be the one learning from her. Huamin was very humble. No matter how good Ningning is, she's still young. Compared to you guys, she's impatient and doesn't have the calmness and composure. She has to learn from you. There's no rush. Take it slow. Huamin smiled. If you have any objections about the company, you can ask me. Qin Chu's uncle was a workaholic. He would talk about work whenever he didn't like it. Huamin had a lot of things that he didn't understand, so he didn't beat around the bush and directly talked about business with his uncle. At this very moment in the small cinema upstairs, Qin Ning was watching an English cartoon with the twins. When Qin Chu went up, they were watching with great interest. Wow. Sis, look at that. It's so pretty. Little Bean danced around. Pudding's face remained calm. Babies, do you like it? Qin Chu walked over and asked with a smile. Wow, Daddy, you're back? Little Bean's reaction was big. She rushed over and hugged Qin Chu. Qin Chu squatted down and Little Bean hugged his neck tightly. Daddy, I missed you so much. Little Bean kissed Qin Chu's handsome left cheek. Qin Ning and Pudding were dumbfounded. He really is a bootlicker. Qin Ning sighed. I didn't wrong her, did I? Look, she's always so hypocritical. Pudding looked at Little Bean proudly. What hypocrisy. Sis, you shouldn't have said that. I really love Daddy. Little Bean refused to admit defeat. Qin Chu smiled and let go of Little Bean. He waved at Pudding and said, Pudding, come here and let Daddy hug you. To his surprise, Pudding crossed her arms and looked down at her father, who was squatting down. She said word by word, "Let's not, Daddy. I'm not a child. Don't hug me all the time. Isn't that good?" Qin Chu, Qin Ning, "Ha, big brother, you're so pitiful. You're despised by your own daughter." Chapter 1955. Little Bean said, "Daddy, don't listen to her nonsense. She's just pretending to be cold. Let's ignore her. Sco. I just found a really good tiramisu. I'll take you to try it." Just like that, Qin Chu followed Little Bean downstairs to the pantry to eat cake. Little Bean finally found a good excuse for her gluttony. In the small theater upstairs, only Qin Ning and Pudding were left sitting side by side. "Pudding, you're not likable. If you don't cry, you won't get any candy. Actually, you should learn from Little Bean. It's good that you can act like a spoiled child." "Actually," Qin Ning said slowly, "Auntie, we're all born as individuals. We don't depend on each other, and naturally we don't imitate each other. Little Bean is kind by nature and likes to be in a daze and act cute. This is her personality advantage. I can't learn it and I don't want to learn it. I'm naturally calm and collected. I think this is good. But aren't you afraid that your mommy and daddy will love Little Bean more? After all, she knows how to coax people." Qin Ning deliberately teased her. "No," Pudding answered very decisively. "Why? It's because we're both daddy and mommy's daughters. They love us equally. Mommy carried us for 10 months and gave birth to us. We're also related to daddy by blood. This is a bond that can never be severed. Even if I'm calm, cold, and arrogant, daddy and mommy still love me equally. I believe that's the case." When Pudding said this, she was full of confidence. She was no longer a little girl. She had transformed into a domineering big sister in minutes. Qin Ning admired her little niece to death. "Pudding, you're really not like a 3-year-old child. I even thought that you were reborn or had traveled back in time from ancient times. You're like a demon." Although Qin Ning knew that Pudding was smart and mature, she felt that even an ordinary adult wouldn't be able to understand what she said, let alone a 3-year-old child. Hearing Qin Ning's words, Pudding turned her head and glanced at her auntie's face. "Auntie, have you watched too many novels and dramas?" "Qin Ning, that's not good. It will lower your IQ. Be good." Then Pudding patted Qin Ning's shoulder and said in a serious tone before she turned and went downstairs. Qin Ning was left dumbfounded. That night, Qin Chu's second uncle ordered the kitchen to prepare a very sumptuous Chinese meal. The whole family gathered together to eat dinner. "When are you going back?" Qin Ning's father asked, looking at Qin Chu and Huamin. "I'll go back to my parents' place tomorrow morning and stay there for 1 more day. After that, I'll go back to China." "So soon, big brother? Stay a little longer," Qin Ning said reluctantly. "Yes, it's rare for your whole family to come back. My brother and sister-in-law love children so much. They must be reluctant to part with you." "Second uncle, Mion and I still have a lot of things to take care of, so we can't stay here for too long. There will be plenty of opportunities. We'll come here twice a year, don't worry." "Actually, I think you should consider leaving the children here to go to school," Qin Chu's second uncle suggested. Qin Chu was slightly surprised. "Yes, the education here is the best in the world. The twins can go to kindergarten and elementary school here and then go to a prestigious university such as Oxford or Stanford. Wouldn't that be great? Otherwise, they'll have to go abroad in the future." "Second uncle, but they're still too young. They're only 3 years old." Qin Chu looked down at his daughters who were eating. Chapter 1956. "Yeah, they're too young. We can't bear to let them go." Humin smiled. "Dad, you're too much. They're only 3 years old and you want my brother and sister-in-law to keep them. Who would be willing to do that?" Qin Ning thought her father's suggestion was ridiculous. "So what? They're very independent. You don't have to worry about them at all. They can even go out on their own." Qin Chu's uncle accidentally let it slip. Humin immediately understood what was going on. He frowned slightly. "Go out on their own?" The twins' expressions changed and they immediately turned to Qin Ning for help. Qin Ning didn't want her nieces to leave, so she quickly tried to smooth things over. "Oh, it's like this. This morning they wanted to go out and play. I had something to talk to them about, so I only asked the bodyguards to follow them. I only went to pick them up after I finished talking." "You only asked the bodyguards to look after my daughters?" "Qin Ning, what were you thinking?" Qin Chu was unhappy. Qin Chu's uncle immediately realized his slip of the tongue and didn't dare to say anything else. I had no choice. It was a work emergency, so it's fine with the bodyguards following them. Honey, don't be too nervous. Huamin smiled and comforted Qin Chu. Little girl, you liar. I'll teach you a lesson later. Qin Chu pointed at Qin Ning with his chopsticks. Qin Ning stuck out her tongue and didn't say anything else. The twins secretly gave Qin Ning a thumbs up, meaning, Auntie, you did a great job. After dinner, Qin Chu and Huamian sat in the living room with Qin Chu to watch financial advice and discuss the global economy. Qin Ning took the twins upstairs to take a shower. As soon as they entered the bathroom, Qin Ning squatted down to fill the tub with water for the twins. The two little guys stumbled over and stood on either side of Qin Ning. Then each of them kissed Qin Ning's face. What? What are you doing? Kissing up to me? Qin Ning smiled at the twins. Little Bean, Auntie, you're so nice. Thank goodness you helped us out. Pudding, I'm sorry that you got scolded by Daddy. Oh, it's okay. I love you guys so much that it's okay to be scolded. It's not like it's the first time I've been scolded by your daddy. What's one more time? Qin Ning pinched their cheeks. Anyways, if we let it slip, I'm sure we'll be in big trouble. I noticed that Mommy's face changed when she heard that we went out alone. I was so scared. Little Bean was still in shock as she recalled the scene from before. Haha, so you know fear too. Qin Ning laughed heartily. Of course. My mommy is actually very scary. When she's angry, my daddy is scared out of his wits, Pudding added. That's true. It's scary when someone who doesn't seem to have a temper normally gets angry. Sister-in-law always looks like she's smiling and calm, but when she gets angry, it's scary when the sky falls and the earth shatters. That's right. Pudding gave her a thumbs up and praised her auntie's wit again. Alright, cut the crap. Hurry up and come in to take a shower. After the bath water was ready, Qin Ning helped them take off their clothes and carefully carried them into the bathroom. Thank you for taking care of us these past few days, Auntie. When I go back, I'll definitely buy some local specialties and send them to you. Little Bean would definitely use food to express her gratitude. Hey, I'll wait for your specialties. Just don't get me a basket of potatoes. Qin Ning laughed. I won't. After all, international delivery is so expensive. Little Bean pouted. Auntie, I still hope that you can find a chance to come back to China and stay for a while. Pudding was still thinking about her auntie and Suyu and kept asking her to come back. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. Hurry up and take a shower. Oh, you guys are leaving tomorrow and my vacation is over. I'm so sad. I don't want to go to work anymore, Qin Ning complained. Downstairs, Huamin was chatting when he suddenly changed the topic and asked, Uncle, why did the kids go out alone this morning? Qin Ning's uncle's expression changed slightly when he heard this. He looked very unnatural. Chapter 1957. Oh, nothing. Qin Chu tried to cover it up. Uncle, you can't hide it from us. Just tell us the truth so we don't think too much. Qin Chu looked at Qin Chu and said slowly. It turned out that Huamian became suspicious when her second uncle let it slip at the dinner table. Although Qin Ning tried to smooth things over, Huamin obviously didn't believe her. After spending a few days with Qin Ning, Huamin had a general understanding of her. She was willing to take time off to eat and play with the twins every day. How could she let the kids go out with her bodyguards because of work? There was definitely something fishy going on. Qin Chu and Huamin weren't ordinary people. They were very observant. Seeing that they had all spoken openly, second uncle could only tell the truth. After he told them the whole story, Qin Chu and Huamian's expressions turned serious. I didn't think they'd do something like this, Qin Chu said in a low voice. Huamin bit his lip and didn't say anything. Honey, are you okay? Qin Chu could tell that Huamian wasn't in a good mood, so he put his arm around her shoulders. I'm fine. It's getting late. Let's go back to our room. Then Huamin and Qin Chu got up. Huamin didn't go back to their room. Instead, he went straight to the bathroom. The two babies were taking a bubble bath inside. Mommy, you're so rude. Why didn't you knock? Little Bean pouted. Are they done? Huamin asked patiently. Almost. What's wrong? Qin Ning turned around. Nothing. Your brother and I miss the kids. After they're done, let them go to our room. Okay, no problem. I'll take them there in a bit. Qin Ning smiled. Huamin glanced at his daughters, closed the bathroom door and left. Sis, why aren't you saying anything? What are you daydreaming about? Little Bean patted Pudding's shoulder with her chubby little hand. Why do I feel like there's something wrong with Mommy? Pudding was worried. Gosh, you sure like to overthink things. No wonder Mommy always says you worry too much. Can you be more confident? You're not like our Scorpio at all. You're not cool at all. Little Bean complained. Yeah, you're both Scorpio. No wonder you're so black-bellied. Qin Ning suddenly thought of their constellations. By the way, Auntie, what's your horoscope? Little Bean asked. I'm an Aries girl, Qin Ning replied. Ah, you're a big white sheep. No wonder. Little Bean burst into laughter. No wonder what? Qin Ning was confused. She didn't know what was so funny about her niece. Sis, can you tell her what's special about Aries? Little Bean poked Pudding. Pudding finally came back to her senses. She glanced at her auntie and said, I heard that Aries girls have bad tempers and are easily impulsive. You're right. I have a bad temper. I even argued with your second grandpa during the board meeting because of work. I have to tell the difference between right and wrong. Even my own father can't help me. Qin Ning nodded. Aries people are actually very kind. Being impatient is just a characteristic of their personality. They explode when lit, Pudding explained. Wine? Explode when lit? Qin Ning was speechless. At this moment Little Bean couldn't help but interrupt. Sis, you didn't get to the point. You didn't even say what Aries people like. Pudding, I think it's better not to. She won't be able to take it. Then, what's Aries people like? Hearing Pudding's words, Qin Ning looked at Little Bean curiously. Chapter 1958. Ha ha ha, during the day and we'll do it at night. Qin Ning. Qin Mumu, what nonsense are you talking about? Qin Ning was so angry that her face turned red. To be honest. Little auntie, don't you know that Aries is very in love with, inside? What? Qin Ning was about to break down. Forget it, you don't even have a boyfriend, so you probably won't understand even if I tell you. Little Bean lowered her head and continued to rub her chubby cheeks. Qin Ning. Okay, Little Bean, don't bully auntie, she's still young. Pudding turned her head and said. Hey, let's go wash up. We have to greet the Emperor and Empress later. I wonder if they're having fun in New Orleans, Little Bean and Pudding said calmly. Qin Ning felt like she was going crazy because of her nieces. Just one constellation could cause such a big earthquake. Oh my god, if she continued to live with them she would become a puppy. She would be turned into a fujoshi. She would be as dirty as she wanted to be. Auntie, read more magazines when you're free. Otherwise, when you have a boyfriend he'll think you're boring. Good luck. Before she left, Little Bean reminded Qin Ning with a heavy tone. Qin Ning felt like she was struck by lightning. Crack. She wasn't prepared for it at all. Little Bean, I'm going to tell your mommy that you're so dirty. Qin Ning roared behind her. Calm down, my mommy's used to it. You're the only one who's making a fuss. Little Bean whistled and followed closely behind her sister to her parents' room. Huh. Sis, what's on your mind? Pudding walked slowly with her head down. Little Bean was curious. I still feel like Mommy's not in the right mood. I feel like something's going to happen. She's very nervous, Pudding replied nervously. You're thinking too much. Move, I'll walk in front. If anything happens I'll cover you and you can run. With that, Little Bean quickly ran in front of her sister. The two of them walked to the door and politely knocked on it. Come in. Huamin's crisp voice came from inside. Mommy, we're here. Little Bean smiled coquettishly as soon as she walked in. Pudding followed her sister cautiously. Qin Chu and Huamin were sitting on the sofa in the bedroom wearing bathrobes. It was obvious that they had also taken a shower. However, Pudding was even more worried when she saw her parents sitting in a row. You do come here. Huamin beckoned with his finger, his face expressionless. The twins didn't understand what he meant, so they slowly walked over. Pudding cleverly glanced at her daddy's face and found that his eyes were a little serious. Mommy, why are you looking for us? Pudding asked tentatively. Both of you stretch out your hands first. Huamin said faintly. Mommy, do you have a gift for us? Well, I knew you and Daddy wouldn't forget about us when you go to New Orleans. Did Uncle Rick buy them for us? Are they food or toys? Little Bean looked very excited. Pudding, on the other hand, was worried. However, the two children still obediently followed Huamin's instructions. Just as they stretched out their chubby little hands, Huamin pulled out a ruler from behind him. Pop, pop, pop. The ruler hit their palms twice. Instantly, the twins were stunned. Mommy, why did you hit us? Little Bean was dumbfounded and felt wronged. Although Chin Chu felt bad, he decided not to interfere with his wife's education of the children. Mommy, you need a reason to hit us. Pudding looked up and stared at Huamin calmly saying, You want a reason, right? Very well, then let me ask you, whose idea was it to go out alone? Huamin asked sternly. Chapter 1959. Hearing Huamin's words, the twins immediately calmed down. They knew that they had been exposed and that they had underestimated their mommy's intelligence. Huamin didn't fully believe Qin Ning's words. In the end, he learned the whole story from his uncle. The result was that Huamin was furious and the consequences were severe. Don't look at each other. Look at me. Huamin saw the twins secretly looking at each other as if they were trying to communicate with each other. They were trying to figure out how to deal with their mommy. So, who's going to answer my question? You went out alone without bodyguards and you didn't let Grandpa and Auntie know about it. You even avoided all the surveillance cameras. You caused a huge commotion at home and scared everyone out of their wits. So, who was the one who came up with this idea? Huamian could no longer suppress the anger in her heart, and her voice was tinged with irritation. Yes, ever since she had the babies she wasn't as calm as before. Because the baby would inadvertently do something that would drive you crazy. Honey, calm down. Lower your voice, don't scare them. Chin Chu couldn't bear to see them like this. Looking at the two little girls with their heads lowered and their lips aggrievedly, Mr. Qin began to surrender. Honey, we agreed that you wouldn't interfere. Huamin tilted his head and glanced at Chin Chu. Yes, I won't interfere. I'm just giving you a friendly reminder. I don't need your reminder. If you can't stand it, you can go out and I'll talk to them, Huamin suggested. Daddy, please don't go. Little Bean was so scared that she immediately begged Chin Chu. She knew too well that with her daddy by her side, she would be emboldened and her sister's situation would be much better. If her daddy went out and they were left alone with their mommy, that would be really scary. I won't go. Chin Chu looked at his daughters with heartache. Pudding was struggling internally. She knew that if she admitted it, she would face her mommy's wrath. This time it would be worse than the time when she smashed the phone, so the punishment would be crueler. No matter how calm and collected she was still a child, so she would still be afraid. Why aren't you talking? Are you scared? Huamin asked coldly. The twins still lowered their heads, not daring to make a sound. You have 5 seconds to answer my question. Otherwise, I'll take it that it was your idea and both of you will be punished. Huamin said and started counting down. 3, 2, Mommy, it was my idea. Hearing this, Chin Chu froze for a second and so did Huamian. Because it was Little Bean who spoke. Pudding also looked at her sister in surprise. She didn't expect her sister to do this. Little Bean, was this your idea? Huamin repeated. Little Bean placed her hands behind her back nervously. She rubbed her hands vigorously. It was obvious that she was very nervous. But she still looked up and said confidently, It was my idea, Mommy. This isn't like you. Huamin looked at his daughter meaningfully. She knew their personalities too well. Little Bean didn't have any ideas. Most of the time she followed her sister's footsteps. She would agree to go wherever Pudding wanted to go. Other than being strict about what to eat, Little Bean didn't interfere too much. Obviously, Huamin didn't believe her. Pudding was a bit anxious and said, Mommy, Little Bean is wrong. This matter is actually... Chapter 1960. So stop talking. Let's just tell Mommy the truth. I know you want to take care of me because you're my sister, but I have to take responsibility for what I did. I'll just admit it to Mommy. Little Bean looked at Pudding and said slowly. But... Pudding seemed to have something else to say. No buts. This is the truth. Little Bean was determined and took the blame. Why did you do that? Don't you know it's dangerous to go out alone? Huamin asked. I thought we'd be fine in the States. After all, those bad guys are in China. Little Bean remembered what her sister said to her before. Nonsense. Do bad guys know where to go? Do you think they won't come here? Do you know how second Grandpa and Auntie would face us if something happened to you? They must be under a lot of pressure. You disappeared for 4 hours and made second Grandpa call the LAPD. You two are too much. The twins lowered their heads and didn't say anything. I've always thought that you two are friendly children. Even if you're occasionally willful, it's still a child's nature. I can understand and accept it. But this time I can't agree with and accept your actions. You two are selfish. You don't care about other people's feelings. You only think about your own happiness. It's only because your freedom is restricted in the country that you think it's fun and whimsical that you did such a ridiculous thing. Mommy, we're fine, aren't we? Pudding argued. Shut up. Don't tell me you're fine. You're just lucky. Something happened. What would happen to your daddy and me? What would happen to Grandpa and Grandma? What would happen to Uncle Sue? Huamin sounded agitated. Honey, don't be angry. Calm down. Chin-Chu patted Huamin's back. He was heartbroken to see her so angry. However, on one side was his daughters and on the other side was his wife. Mommy, we know we're wrong. We're sorry. Little Bean was obedient and apologized immediately. Even if she didn't mean it, she would try to comfort her mother first. She didn't want to get beaten up. However, Pudding didn't accept it. She thought it was a good idea to buy Suyu a gift when they finally went out. Moreover, nothing happened to them. They were fluent in English and the taxi ride was smooth. It was not as dangerous as Mommy had said. Of course, they were still young and didn't know that Huasiqian had always wanted to harm them. They also didn't know that a terrifying demon like Ian was eyeing their entire family. She only felt that her mommy was too nervous. Is it useful to know that you're wrong? If you cause trouble in the future, such as killing someone, do you think you will be forgiven just by apologizing? Don't you need to take responsibility? Huamin reprimanded with a black face. Honey, it's not that serious. Don't scare them. Chin-Chu still couldn't bear it. It's that serious. If we don't teach them a lesson now, what will happen in the future? With that, Huamin raised the ferrule in his hand. Little Bean, Mommy will ask you one last time. This was your idea, wasn't it? Yes, it's me. Little Bean was determined to take the blame. Alright, then you have to accept the punishment. With that, Huamin grabbed Little Bean's hands. She started hitting them. From the sound of it, it was obvious that she used a lot of force. She hit each hand 5 times, a total of 10 times. The sound of the ferrule cracking made Chin-Chu's heart clench. However, he didn't dare to plead for his daughters. Chapter 1961. Chin-Chu knew that if one of them hit and the other spoiled the child, it would be ineffective. Therefore, Chin-Chu turned his head away and didn't dare to look. Instantly, Little Bean's hands turned red. Maybe it was because of the pain, but her face turned red. However, she didn't cry this time. She just gritted her teeth and endured it. After the slap, before Huamin could say anything, Pudding burst into tears. She was very sad because she knew that her sister took the blame for her and got hit. Must have hurt a lot. Sis, don't cry. It doesn't hurt. Really, it doesn't hurt. Mommy didn't hit me hard. Little Bean forced a smile and her eyes turned into crescents. At this moment, Chin-Chu's eyes were wet. Huamian almost burst into tears as well. In fact, Chin-Chu and Huamin both knew it was Pudding's idea. They just didn't expect Little Bean to admit it. Even though Huamian knew it wasn't Little Bean, she still hit Little Bean hard to make Pudding suffer. Sisters were connected by heart. Plus, they were twins. Pudding seemed to be able to feel Little Bean's pain. Mommy, it wasn't Little Bean's idea. Pudding cried and said. But Little Bean walked over and covered her mouth. Mommy, it's over. We know we were wrong. So, can we go now? You can go. Pudding stays. But I said it wasn't Little Bean. Mommy, why didn't you keep your promise? Little Bean was a little agitated. I didn't. Are you going to hit Little Bean? No, I won't hit her. You took all the hits for her. Huamin looked at Little Bean. Honey, take Little Bean out first. I have something to say to Pudding. Okay. Chin-Chu nodded and picked up Little Bean. Let's go. Daddy will put the ointment on you. Daddy, it doesn't hurt. Stay and help Big Sister. Little Bean was a little scared. Don't worry. If Mommy says I won't hit you, then I won't. Finally, Chin-Chu walked out of the door with Little Bean in his arms. Pudding was still crying with her head down. Her tears had already wet her floral dress. Her 2 neat braids were also a little loose and she looked very disheveled. Little Bean, does it hurt? As soon as Chin-Chu carried Little Bean out of the door, he kissed her face lovingly. Tell me the truth? Little Bean looked at her daddy pitifully. Of course. Little Bean whispered into Chin-Chu's ear. It hurts a lot. Mommy hit me really hard. Then why aren't you crying? Because I'm afraid that if I cry you'll feel bad. Little Bean said sensibly. Hearing this, Chin-Chu felt very uncomfortable. His daughter was only 3 years old. She only thought so much. Besides, Little Bean looked like a silly little girl who only knew how to flatter and act cute. No one would have thought that she would be so sensible and considerate of her sister. Little Bean, Daddy wants to ask you. This was your sister's idea. Why did you say it was you? Don't you know that you'll be beaten if you say it? Chin Chu was also very curious. He wanted to know what Little Bean was thinking. I know. I'm mentally prepared. Little Bean nodded. Then why did you admit it for your sister? Mommy already punished her last time when she made a mistake. If I punish her again this time, I'm afraid she'll be sad, scared, and even traumatized. She'll think that Mommy doesn't love her. After Little Bean said this, Chin Chu's tears fell down. He really couldn't control it. What about you? Won't you be scared, sad, or traumatized? Chin Chu hugged his daughter tightly. I'm fine. My heart is bigger than my sister's. She's more introverted, so I'm a little worried. These are all superficial wounds. She'll be fine in a few days. Daddy, why are you crying? Don't cry. You won't be handsome if you cry. Little Bean wiped away Chin Chu's tears as she spoke. It was very heartwarming. Inside the room, Huamin looked at Little Bean with a heavy heart and said in a serious tone, Little Bean, don't you want to say something to Mommy? Chapter 1962. Mommy, it wasn't Pudding's idea. It was my idea, Pudding said between sobs. Really? Then why didn't you tell me when I asked you? Huamin stared at Pudding and asked word for word. That's because. Pudding bit her lip as if she couldn't bring herself to say it. Because you're scared? You're scared that you'll be punished for taking the blame? Pudding nodded. Then you didn't think that Pudding would take the blame for you and receive the same punishment? I didn't think that Pudding would say that, so I was very surprised. By the time I wanted to explain, it was too late. In the end, it's because you're scared that you don't dare to admit it. But Pudding, why didn't you feel scared when you got into trouble? Mommy, to be honest, I don't think I got into trouble. I went out for a reason, not because I wanted to have fun. I went out to buy gifts for... Before Pudding could finish, Huamin angrily interrupted her. Shut up. I don't want to hear your excuses. No matter what the reason is, you're in the wrong. Your selfish behavior brought a lot of trouble to your aunt and grandpa. Luckily, nothing happened, or else it would have been too late. Pudding, I always thought that you were the mature and stable one between the two of you, just like your daddy. But this time you disappointed me. Your arrogance is only because you're willful, your princess syndrome, and your little temper. You don't have your daddy's sense of responsibility and responsibility. Your daddy always thinks about his family and Mommy, but you always put yourself first. He even let Pudding take the blame for you. Pudding may seem like a little foodie and heartless, but when the time comes, she's more responsible than you are. She's Mommy's daughter, not a coward like you. A troublemaker who makes trouble for her own sister. Mommy, I didn't want to do that. Pudding was very sad when she heard her Mommy's harsh words, so she tried to explain herself. I know you understand everything, but you just won't listen to me. Are you trying to rebel now? No, Mommy, I just wanted to go out and buy gifts. I didn't think too much about it. I didn't know that second grandpa and little auntie were scared to death. If I knew they were in that state, I would never do that. Pudding, in this world, everyone has to be responsible for their mistakes. You can't let it go just because you said I was wrong and I apologized. It's not scary when people make mistakes. It's scary when they don't want to take responsibility. Actually, no matter how big the mistake is, as long as you're willing to admit it and atone for it, tomorrow will be a new day. I hope this time, you've really grown up and become more sensible. Seeing that Little Bean took a beating for you, I hope you can think things through. That's all, you can leave now. Mommy. Pudding seemed to want to say something to Huamin and kept crying. Get out. Huamin's tone was rather unfriendly. Pudding was crying as she walked out. Qin Ning knew that the twins were being interrogated and was so scared that she immediately came to save the situation. However, Pudding didn't say a word and kept walking back to her room with her head down. Qin Chu happened to run into Pudding, who was in a mess. Pudding, are you okay? Qin Ning was worried. Chapter 1963. It's okay, Auntie. Don't worry. Pudding held back her tears, opened the door and slammed it shut. Pudding, open the door. I have something to talk to you about. Auntie, go to sleep. I'm tired. Pudding refused to open the door. Qin Ning had no choice but to go downstairs and watch as Qin Chu applied ointment on Pudding's hands. Oh my God, did your mommy hit you? Qin Ning exclaimed as she looked at Pudding's red and swollen hands. Pudding nodded with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, Pudding. Your grandpa betrayed you by accident. I already taught him a lesson. Qin Ning was just complaining about her dad. How could he betray the two kids? Qin Chu's uncle looked helpless. Of course he didn't want to, but his niece-in-law was too smart and couldn't be fooled. It's not grandpa's fault. Mommy's so smart. These things can't be hidden from her. Pudding was very open-minded. Big brother, let me apply the ointment. Qin Ning squatted down. Qin Chu carefully applied the ointment on Pudding's hands. It's okay. I'll do it. When it came to taking care of his daughter, he didn't trust anyone but himself. Why don't you go check on Pudding? I think she's not in a good mood. She just went back to her room and cried. Pudding doesn't need to be comforted. She's introverted. She'll figure it out. Qin Chu wasn't worried about Pudding. Instead, he was worried about Pudding. The family stayed up until late. When Pudding was very sleepy, Qin Chu carried her upstairs. When he carried Pudding back, she was still awake. She sat alone in her room. Her eyes were red from crying. She looked like a little rabbit. Pudding, Qin Chu called. She turned her head. Your sister is asleep. She's hurt today. You have to take good care of her, okay? Qin Chu's voice was very gentle. Okay. Pudding nodded. Then you guys go to bed early. We're flying to Grandpa's house tomorrow. Hey, Daddy. Good girl. Qin Chu hugged Pudding, kissed her cheek and turned to leave. Daddy, Qin Chu turned his head, his voice very soft. I'm sorry about what happened today. It's okay. You're Daddy's daughter. No matter what you do, Daddy will forgive you. Also, your mommy loves you very much. That's why she loves you so much. Don't blame her. Mommy's right, she's right. I was too stubborn. I almost got into trouble again and even made little sister suffer for me. Daddy, even I look down on myself. Mommy's right, I inherited your arrogance and calmness, but I didn't inherit your sense of responsibility and responsibility. This time I've embarrassed Daddy. No, Daddy doesn't think so. Qin Chu comforted Pudding. I won't be so disobedient in the future. After returning home, I'll perform well and strive not to disappoint Mommy and Daddy. Pudding thought for a whole night and reflected a lot. She seemed to have made up her mind to perform well. This time, the fact that Little Bean got beaten up because of her was a huge blow to her. It made her accept many things. Okay, Daddy looks forward to your best performance. Then Qin Chu walked out of the twins' room and returned to his own room. As soon as he entered the room, he saw Huamin sitting on the bay window, wearing one of his loose white shirts. Her smooth and white thighs were exposed. She was very sexy and different from her usual style. Most importantly, she had a cigarette in her mouth. Every time Huamin smoked, she was extremely depressed. Qin Chu understood. Honey, are you smoking again? Qin Chu walked over, pulled the cigarette out of her mouth and pressed it into the ashtray. I suddenly feel like I'm a failure. Huamin was a little depressed. Why would you say that? Qin Chu sat behind her and let her whole body lean against his chest. Chapter 1964. I just realized how much of a failure I am. As a daughter, I'm not good enough. I've been causing trouble for the family since I was a kid and I've never had a peaceful life. Luckily, Mom never really blamed me. Sometimes Jishin even worries about me. As a wife, I'm not gentle and virtuous either. I don't understand you, I can't think for you, and I always cause trouble for you. As a daughter-in-law, I don't take care of my in-laws. As a mother, I'm even more of a failure. The twins have been mature since they were little, but I've been too busy with work to guide them. I always thought my daughters were good enough, but today I realized that I've raised Pudding to be an egomaniac. She's even a little selfish and Little Bean to be a glutton. They don't even know how to protect themselves. Honey, you can't say that. As a daughter, you've done so much for the family. You've worked hard and earned money to bring a stable life to your mother and brother. As a wife, you've always done so much for the family. Even when you were pregnant and had a child, you did it all by yourself. You've always had me in your heart. As a daughter-in-law, you've done so much for Mom and Dad. When I was in prison, you ran between the family and the company to comfort them. You worked so hard to give birth to a pair of cute granddaughters for them. As a mother, you've set enough examples. You can't expect too much from them because they're only 3 years old. Even if they're mature and smart, they're still very, very young. We have to guide them step by step and we need a lot of patience. We can't deny them because of one mistake. Honey, do you think I'm being too unreasonable? No, I understand your uneasiness. Honey, you've worked too hard. Leave everything to me when you come back to China. You don't have to go to work anymore. So, are you going to fire me? Huamin turned around and looked at Qin Chu pitifully. No, I'm going to give you a vacation. Spend a few days with the twins. And then what? Huamin leaned into Qin Chu's arms and looked up at his almost perfect profile. And then you'll go back to work at Southside, right? Back to Southside? Huamin's jaw dropped in surprise. I've talked to President Wu and Southside happens to be short-handed. If you go back, not only will you be reinstated as the chief physician of the Department of Neurology, but you'll also be the deputy director. Huamin, don't you think it's just right for me to be a CEO and you to be a doctor? I miss the old days, honey. Although we were busy, our lives were very fulfilling. Honey, you're the big boss of GK headquarters. Don't you think it's beneath you to come back to China to work? Huamin whined. Oh, protecting my wife and child is my greatest happiness. Money and power have nothing to do with me. Qin Chu said it casually, but Huamin was very excited. Being a doctor was her greatest hobby. She never dared to think that she would be able to return to the hospital one day. What a wonderful experience that would be, but her husband had silently arranged everything for her. Honey, thank you for always silently arranging everything for me. At this moment Huamin was filled with happiness. With a husband like this, what else could she ask for in her life? Because you're Huamin, everything I do for you is worth it. Just as Qin Chu said before, because of the weight of the two words Huamin, he was willing to do anything for her. The next morning the family of 4 was ready to fly to Hawaii. Before they left, the twins and Qin Ning were reluctant to leave. Auntie, are you really not coming back to China with us? Pudding looked at Qin Ning sadly. Chapter 1965. I'm not going back. Auntie still has a lot of work to do. Qin Ning smiled. Grandpa, are you bullying Auntie and giving her a lot of work? Little Bean looked at Grandpa Qin and said coquettishly. Hey, your auntie's status in the family is like an ancestor. She has the highest status in the family after you two. Do you think I dare to bully her? Qin Chu's uncle was speechless. Compared to work, the most important thing for a girl is to find a good man to marry. So, Auntie, you have to make marriage your top priority. Little Bean said seriously. Hey, you two sly little girls. My ears are going to grow calluses from your words. Hurry up and go. Don't talk too much. It's hard for a girl to find a boyfriend if she talks too much. Plus, you two are big scorpions, don't act like Virgos. Qin Ning smiled and squatted down to kiss her two nieces. After reluctantly saying goodbye to their auntie and grandpa, the two babies got into the car first. Uncle, you have to take care of yourself. Don't tire yourself out. You don't have to deal with the company yourself, just leave it to Ning Ning, Qin Chu said. I know. Your dad always tells me that at my age it's time for me to retire. Qin Chu's uncle smiled. Silo, you have to bring the twins here often. I miss them so much. Qin Ning said with tears in her eyes. After a few days of being together, she really liked the twins. Now that they were leaving, she felt like she had been blinded. That feeling was really hard to bear. Oh, Ning Ning, you can go back and play when you're not busy. They am for sure. Maybe one day I'll fly over and find you guys. Huh. Qin Ning smiled and held back her tears. Qin Chu and Huamin got into the Bentley and watched the car drive away. Qin Ning couldn't help but cry. How old are you? Why are you crying? Qin Ning's father turned around and comforted his daughter. I miss my nieces so much. Qin Ning smiled with tears in her eyes. That night, the family of 4 went back to Hawaii to reunite with their grandparents. The next morning, the family of 4 flew back to China and stopped in Jing City. The long-distance flight was indeed very tiring. The twins were no longer as excited as they were at the beginning. Most of the time, other than eating and going to the bathroom, I slept. Qin Chu took care of 1 adult and 2 children by himself, for fear that they would catch a cold if they slept in the air conditioner. Therefore, she didn't sleep much and had been taking care of the mother and daughters. Finally, the plane landed in Sea City. Huamin stretched and straightened her body. I'm finally home. President Hua, how do you feel? Qin Chu turned to look at her. Feels great to be home. Nothing is as good as home. Nothing is as good as home, Hua Mian exclaimed with a smile. Honey, you're too humble. If your South Hill Manor is a doghouse, how are other people going to live? They can't even live in a doghouse. Chin Chu teased her. You're right, honey. What I mean is, nowhere is as good as home. Actually, now that I think about it, I miss our home in Imperial Park. That was our first house. Huamin smiled sweetly. That's easy. We'll continue to buy houses and stay there for a few days occasionally, Chin Chu suggested. Forget it, it's not just the two of us anymore, we have two more clowns. Huamian felt a heavy burden on her shoulders at the thought of the twins. So, President Hua, how was your trip this time? Do you have any thoughts? Chin Chu massaged Huamin's shoulders. I had a lot of fun, but there's one small regret, Huamin pouted and said after thinking for a moment. Oh, you have a regret? Tell me. Chin Chu was slightly surprised. Chapter 1966. Xiao Shui is in Chicago and I haven't visited her and the kids yet. It's a shame that she invited me twice and kept calling me. The problem is that we're in a rush. Mom and Dad don't want the kids to leave either. It seems like we'll have to stay longer next time. Don't worry. We'll visit the States more often. Chin Chu patted the back of Huamin's hand. Huamin tilted his head and looked at the two kids sleeping like pigs on the first-class seats. Pudding tilted her head and drooled. She was even snoring like a pig. He was so cute. Chin Chu was about to wake them up when Huamin stopped him. Wait, honey. Don't wake them up yet. Why? I want to record a short video for them. Chin Chu was speechless. You're cheating your kids, Mommy. Chin Chu was speechless. Huamin took out his phone and recorded a short video for his daughters. He was already imagining how they would react when they saw him like this. After the plane landed, the crew announced that they were getting off the plane. Chin Chu unbuckled his seatbelt and carefully woke the twins up. Babies were home. Wake up. Chin Chu's voice was extremely gentle. Huamin was jealous. Honey, you've never woken me up so gently. Yeah. I usually prove it to you with my actions. Chin Chu smiled. Huamin immediately blushed. You're acting like a pervert in broad daylight again. Hurry up and wake the babies up. The first thing we need to do when we get home is jet lag. It's so painful. Chin Chu reminded him. Huamin walked over and the bodyguards helped him push a lot of luggage. Huamin and Chin Chu each carried the kids out of the airport. Daddy, are we home? Pudding opened her eyes and asked sleepily. Yeah. Are you happy? I'm happy. Why? Chin Chu asked with a smile. Because I can see handsome Sue. Little Bean didn't lie at all. Chin Chu was speechless. Okay. It seemed like her father was used to his daughter being obsessed with Suyu. Huamin held Little Bean in his arms and looked at the doll's hand with heartache. Although it was much better, there were still some marks left by the ferrule. Little Bean, does it still hurt? It doesn't hurt. Really? Really? Don't worry, Mommy. I'm Hercules. This little injury is nothing. Then, do you hate Mom in your heart? Huamin bit her lip. Her heart was filled with guilt. No, I love Mommy as always. Even if Mommy hits you, you'll forgive Mommy, right? Huamin asked again and again like a child. That's right. Even if Mommy hits me, I'll still forgive Mommy because Mommy didn't want it to happen. We were disobedient. Mommy taught us how to be a good person, so I won't blame Mommy. Not only me, but Sis won't either. Good girl. Mommy knows. Thank you for your understanding. Hearing the gluttonous Little Bean say such words, Huamin was very touched. Suddenly Little Bean said, Mommy, I want to pee. She suddenly felt like she couldn't hold it in. Huamin immediately put her down and looked around. The bathroom is over there. Mommy will take you there. Mommy, I want to go too. Pudding also wanted to pee and wanted to go. Chapter 1967. Chin Chu glanced at the bodyguards behind him. You guys go ahead and wait for us at the door. We'll take the kids to the washroom first. Okay, Mr. Chin. The bodyguards walked out of the door with their luggage. Chin Chu and Huamin held the twins' hands and went to the washroom. I'll wait for you guys at the door. Chin Chu stopped at the door of the women's washroom. Huamin nodded and walked in with the twins. The twins could take care of themselves and knew how to pee. After Huamin went in, he went to the washroom first and waited at the door. Because it was an airport, there were a lot of people. Mommy, I want to poop. Little Bean yelled, probably because she ate too much on the plane. Okay, take your time. Mommy's waiting for you at the door. When you're done, call Mommy and I'll go in and wipe your butt. Huamin smiled warmly. Okay, mommy. Since Little Bean said she wanted to poop, Pudding didn't rush out. Huamin waited at the door inside while Chinchu waited at the door outside. They were less than 3 meters away from each other. There were a lot of people going in and out of the washroom. However, there was only one exit, so Huamin didn't think too much about it. After he turned on his phone, he received a call from the company. Bella reported something urgent to Huamin. Huamin talked to Bella about work on the phone. Chinchu was waiting for them at the door. He wasn't on his phone, but something caught his attention. A group of people was chasing after 2 people. The person running seemed to be a woman. She was wearing a black cashmere coat, a hat, and a mask. She ran very fast. The group of people behind her seemed to be reporters and fans. Fans chasing after their idols wasn't news in today's society. Chinchu just looked at it and didn't think it was strange. However, the woman rushed into the washroom. Huamin couldn't stop them. The fans behind him also rushed in large batches. Huamin was so scared that he held his phone in a daze. What's going on? Huamin was dumbfounded. Why did you all come here? This is a dead end. There isn't even an exit. Miss Wen, we just want to interview you, please don't run away. The male reporters couldn't enter, so they blocked the door. Huamin was frightened by the crowd. He walked out and stood beside Chinchu. Where's the child? She's inside. She said she wanted to poop. Huamin didn't think much of it. But after waiting for about 3 minutes, he still didn't come out. At this time, the crowd had already dispersed. The female celebrities, reporters, and fans had also left the restroom. Chinchu was a little anxious. Honey, go in and take a look. Why haven't you come out yet? Yes. Huamin nodded and returned to the toilet. Little Bean Pudding, are you done? Huamin asked. But there was no response. Little Bean? Pudding? Huamin was a little puzzled. He raised his voice and called out again. There was still no response. Now Huamin was anxious. He rushed in and pushed open the door. Little Bean Pudding. She anxiously pushed open all the doors, but there was no response. The children were missing for no reason. Pudding, Little Bean, answer me. Don't scare mommy. Huamin was so scared that his face turned pale. Chinchu heard the noise. He didn't care that it was the women's restroom and rushed in. Then he grabbed Huamin's arm. Honey, what's wrong? Honey, the children are missing. Huamin was so anxious that his legs turned to jelly. How? Chinchu was also confused. There was only one exit and he didn't see the children go out. Chinchu and Huamin had been guarding the door. But the children really were gone. Chapter 1968. They're really gone, honey. Huamin's voice began to tremble and his mind went blank. In a moment of desperation, Chinchu pushed open the bathroom door one by one. However, he found that the bathroom was empty. Little Bean Pudding, don't play hide-and-seek with mommy and daddy. Chinchu called out tentatively. But it was still empty and there was no response. Honey, where do you think they're going? They shouldn't be. There's only one exit and we've been at the door the whole time. If they came out, we would have noticed them. Huamin began to panic. Let's go and watch the surveillance video. Chinchu was also anxious, but he was calmer than Huamin. He held Huamin's hand and hurried to the airport's surveillance room. After they revealed their identities, the person in charge of the airport immediately hung up the surveillance video for them. Chinchu and Huamin stared at the video, watching it over and over again. The twins really didn't come out. That was until when that unknown celebrity entered and a large number of reporters and fans rushed in as well. Things began to get strange. Wait. Rewind it. Chinchu narrowed his eyes and stared at the screen. The staff rewound the video. Slow it down, thank you. Chinchu stared at the screen and said coldly. After the video was slowed down, he noticed a detail. When the female celebrity in the woolen coat went in, she was empty-handed. When she came out, she had a big black travel bag in her hand. Because she was surrounded by people, no one noticed this detail. Go and find out who this female celebrity is. Chinchu looked at the person in charge. The person in charge made a round of phone calls and in the end he replied blankly, Mr. Chin, I've checked, and there are no female celebrities in the airport today. What about entering the airport? No one. The person in charge replied. Chinchu frowned slightly. That's strange. Could it be? This person isn't a celebrity? Maybe it's just a trap. Huamin felt a chill run down his spine. Honey, you mean, this is a premeditated kidnapping? Huamin's eyes widened. Hurry. Find out where they went. There should be surveillance video at the entrance. Find out which car they left in. Qin Chu anxiously gave out orders. When they saw the video outside, Qin and Huamin were dumbfounded again. The woman had left in a silver-gray van, but the license plate of the van was clearly a fake one. Moreover, after the car started, it went on the road and no one knew where it went. No, I'm going to call Gao Ran and ask him to help me investigate the whereabouts of this car. Then lock down the entire city. We can't let them take the kids away. And Gao Ran and Hua's aunts. Huamin finally figured out that this was a premeditated kidnapping. Although there was only one exit in the washroom, the problem was that after those people went in, they blurred their vision. This lowered Qin Chu and Huamin's vigilance. After all, this was an airport, a public place. Who would have thought that they could do something to the twins here? When the woman went in, she had an empty bag with her. When she came out, the twins should have been in the bag. The children didn't make a sound from beginning to end. They must have been drugged or injected with needles. Huamin felt like she was going to break down. If anything happened to her daughters, she wouldn't be able to live anymore. Chapter 1969. She regretted not waiting for him in the washroom. Why did she have to be so impatient? Why did she call the company at that time? If only she was more vigilant, then she wouldn't have known that her children were kidnapped. She was still standing at the door like an idiot. Qin Chu was also anxiously calling Gao Ran. President Qin, you're back from your trip? Gao Ran was happy to receive Qin Chu's call and wanted to tease him. Listen to me right now, get me all the traffic cameras in the city. I want to find a silver van with a license plate number A65288. It's driving out of the airport. Also, immediately order the city to be locked down. We can't let this van out. Bro, what's going on? Gao Ran was dumbfounded. My daughters have been kidnapped. What? Gao Ran was completely dumbfounded. Didn't you guys just come back from the States? Gao Ran was surprised. Yes, it happened at the airport. When? Just now. Qin Chu's voice sounded depressed. Okay, I'll look into it right away. Don't worry, you have to calm down. I know. Qin Chu nodded. Is Huamin okay? Gao Ran was worried. Because his mother was the one with the worst tolerance. Qin Chu turned around and his expression changed. Huamin was on the verge of fainting. Qin Chu immediately hung up the phone and rushed over to help her up. Huamin's vision turned black and she fainted. Qin Chu was busy driving Huamin to the hospital. He also had to communicate with Gao Ran about tracking down the kidnappers. He was mentally and physically exhausted. At the headquarters of Imperial Start, Suyu knew that today was the day that the twins were coming back because he had video calls with them every day. He had been thinking about them all this time. He even wanted to wait for them to return home and immediately pick them up for dinner. This was something that Grandpa had personally instructed him to do. After not seeing the twins for so long, the Su family couldn't take it anymore. But he didn't receive any news. Suyu couldn't sit still and sent a WeChat message to Pudding. Baby, are you home yet? There was no response for a long time. In the end, Suyu sent Huamin a WeChat message, feeling a little embarrassed. Are you home yet? I want to bring the children home for dinner later. My parents and Grandpa miss them very much. After sending the WeChat message, Suyu waited for a long time, but there was still no reply. Suddenly he felt that something was wrong. It was fine if the twins didn't reply, but Huamin shouldn't have. She was a very efficient person. If she saw the WeChat message, she would definitely reply immediately. After another 10 minutes, Suyu couldn't take it anymore and called her. Qin Chu had just finished taking care of Huamin and was talking to the doctor. Then he received a call from Suyu because he had Huamin's phone. When he saw that it was Suyu calling, Qin Chu hesitated for a moment and then picked up the phone. Hello. When he heard that it was Qin Chu, Suyu felt a little awkward. Qin Chu. Suyu wasn't sure. It's me. Where's Huamin? She's at the hospital. At the hospital? What happened to her? She fainted. Fainted? Why would she do that all of a sudden? Didn't you guys just come back from the States? Suyu panicked. Yes. Then why is she not feeling well? Is she too tired? Suyu asked with concern. My daughters are missing, Qin Chu explained word by word. He knew that Suyu loved the twins very much, so he felt that it was necessary to tell him the situation. What did you say? Suyu's mind went blank. When we arrived at the airport, the kids went to the washroom and were set up. The twins were kidnapped. I'm looking for them right now. Mion couldn't take it and just fainted. Chin-Chu's voice was very heavy. Kidnapped? Are you sure they're not hiding and playing with you? Suyu stood up with a whoosh, his expression changing. Chapter 1970. No, I watched the surveillance footage. This kidnapping was premeditated. Where are you now? The first hospital. Wait for me, I'll be there soon. Suyu picked up the phone and sped away in his Lamborghini. Beside Suyu was the silent, and 15 minutes later, Suyu arrived at the first hospital. What's going on? Suyu ran upstairs panting. Before Chin-Chu could speak, he asked in a panic. Chin-Chu explained the situation to Suyu briefly. His entire person instantly became unwell. Who dares to touch the twins? If I catch them, I'll chop them into pieces, Suyu cursed. I've already ordered them to investigate. I'm sure we'll have news soon. Chin-Chu was also waiting patiently. Just then his phone rang. It was Gao Ran again. Chu, come to the Municipal Public Security Bureau. What's wrong? The situation is a bit complicated right now. I'll tell you the details if you come. Gao Ran's tone was very serious. Chin-Chu hung up the phone and looked at Suyu. Can you do me a favor? What is it? Help me take care of Mion. When she wakes up, please comfort her. She's been devastated by the loss of the twins. She even lost the ability to think. I'm a bit worried about her condition. What about you? Suyu asked. I'll go to the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Gao Ran said the situation is a bit complicated. He's afraid it might involve confidential information, so it's not convenient for you to talk over the phone. Okay, then you go. Leave Huamin to me. Thank you. You're welcome, Chin-Chu. Suyu suddenly shouted. Chin-Chu turned around and looked at him quietly. Stay strong. Pudding and Little Bean will be fine. They'll be protected by God. Chin-Chu nodded heavily, then turned around and went downstairs. After Chin-Chu left, Suyu immediately ordered Shaoan, investigate this matter. Find out where the twins are at all cost. Once you discover their whereabouts, no matter what it takes, bring them back immediately. Kill whoever took them. Suyu was also crazy. He directly gave the order to kill. Yes, President Su. After receiving Suyu's order, and turned around and went downstairs to do something. Suyu walked into the VIP ward. Huamin was still unconscious. There was a needle on the back of his hand, and he was injected with a nutrient solution. His face looked very pale. When Suyu saw Huamin like this, he felt an inexplicable pain in his heart. Why do you have to go through so much? As a bystander, I can't bear to see you like this. God is so fucking unfair. Why do you have to set her up? Suyu clenched his fists tightly. He wished he could lie here in place of Huamin. Huamin was a strong woman most of the time. She could do anything, be it a doctor or a president. Everything came easily to her. Nothing was too difficult for her. Now that she was lying here quietly without a sound, Suyu felt that everything was meaningless. Suyu sat quietly at the head of Huamin's bed. He pulled the corner of the blanket for her, afraid that she would be cold. Although the room was air-conditioned, he was still afraid. Mion, you have to hang in there. You're a fairy, so nothing can stop you. God gave you so much training so that you can reach perfection in your human cultivation. When you reach the end of your life, you can go back to heaven. So you still have a long way to go. Pudding and Little Bean are so cute and smart, so they'll be fine. They'll wake up safe and sound. So before that happens, nothing must happen to you. When he said this emotionally, Suyu couldn't help but hold Huamin's hand. Perhaps only in this way could he feel at ease and feel that she was close to him and hadn't gone far. When Chin-Chu arrived at the Municipal Public Security Bureau, it took less than 10 minutes for him to speed. He even felt that every minute he was late or delayed, the girls would be in more danger. What did you find out? Chin-Chu walked in and asked Gao Ran, panting. It's really troublesome. This time, do you know who came back? Gao Ran's expression was serious and his eyebrows furrowed. Chapter 1971. Who is it? Chin-Chu realized the severity of the situation. Huasi is back. Huasi. Qin Chu was slightly surprised. He hadn't heard this name in a long time. Back when the Hua family went bankrupt, Huasiqian single-handedly took control of the Hua family and even forced out his adoptive mother, Jiang Hong. He used extremely cruel methods to kill Hua Jinghai. Although the media didn't report this incident and the police didn't investigate, Qin Chu could still guess what was going on. Later on, Hua Min wanted to team up with Huasiqian to take revenge on the Hua family. However, after seeing how miserable the Hua family was, Hua Min couldn't bear to see Hua Jinghai anymore and even went to see him one last time. After that incident, Hua Yanyan Huasi and his mother Shinjiani were kicked out of the board of directors. Hua Yanyan didn't leave and lived a miserable life there. Huasiqian didn't do anything to her and left her to fend for herself. Shinjiani and her son fled abroad with their adulterer. They were never heard from again. A few years later, Hua Min got pregnant and gave birth to a 3-year-old baby. However, Huasi suddenly came back. When did this happen? I checked the immigration records and he's been back for a long time. We didn't pay attention to this incident and overlooked it. I think he's been here for a long time and planned carefully before he did something to the children, Gao Ran said. Shinjiani's husband came back too? Qin Chu's heart sank. He had a bad feeling about this. I'm not sure. Shinjiani probably changed her name and I couldn't find it. Huasi also changed his name. But there are fingerprints here. I compared them. If I didn't help you find the baby, I wouldn't have known that he came back. Are you sure he has something to do with this? Qin Chu asked solemnly. I'm not sure, but I've been a detective for so many years and my instincts are very accurate. I've rarely guessed wrong. Huasi came back with something big. I think he wants to take revenge on Huasiqian and Hua Min. After all, he always thought that Huasiqian and Hua Min conspired to frame him. That's why he wants to start with the twins. Are you sure he's still in the city? He's still here. There's no record of him leaving. Do you know which hotel he's in? Qin Chu clenched his fists tightly. If it really was Huasi, then the baby would be in danger. He was definitely back for revenge. I don't know. There are no check-in records in the hotel, so he shouldn't be staying in a hotel. I guess he's hiding in some abandoned factories or slums. After all, the roads there are complicated, so it's easy to hide. Qin Chu remained silent after hearing what Huasiqian said. Don't worry. I'm going to say something unpleasant, but you should wait. Huasi definitely didn't kidnap the twins just for them. I'm sure he wants to threaten you and Hua Min. So, I think you two will receive a threatening text or phone call soon. My daughters are missing, and now you're telling me to sit here and do nothing? Qin Chu was a little angry. Calm down, I'm not telling you to sit here and do nothing. What I'm saying is that we can wait for news. If Huasi really planned this, then he won't let you find him easily. Why don't you investigate how Huasi has been living abroad for the past few days? What's his background? Gao Ran suggested. No. I don't care about anything else. I want to find my daughters first. Hurry up and get all the surveillance cameras in the city. For the first time, Qin Chu lost his cool. At this moment, he was just a father who had lost his children. Pudding Little Bean. Hua Min woke up from a nightmare. He screamed with all his might, sweating profusely. Calm down. Su Yu held onto Hua Min's arm tightly. He was afraid that she would drop the nutrition needle on his arm. I dreamed that the twins' faces were covered in blood and they were calling for their mommy. Hua Min covered his face with his hands and began to cry. Su Yu's heart ached for Hua Mian. Mian, calm down. I think the kids will be fine. They're our lucky stars. I'm sure they'll come back safe and sound. At an abandoned factory in the suburbs, Big Brother E, we've got the kids. What should we do with them? A few monkey-like men dressed in black put down their luggage on the ground. Huasi looked down at the unconscious twins and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 1972. So they're Hua Min's children. They're just as cheap as their mother. Huasi glanced at the twins coldly. Boss, should we kill them now? Huasi's subordinate made a throat-slitting gesture. Are you stupid? If we kill them now, how are we going to get the ransom? Huasi glared at his subordinate. What should we do with these two kids? Lock them in the warehouse and feed them like normal. I'll think about it and call Hua Min later, huh? Then Huasi laughed coldly and turned to leave. After a while, the twins woke up groggily after the effects of the drug wore off. Where the hell is this place? Little Bean opened her eyes and was dumbfounded. Pudding also got up groggily. I think we were kidnapped. Pudding tried to recall. She and Little Bean went to the washroom at the airport and heard a lot of noise. Then they smelled a weird smell that smelled like smoke. After that she didn't remember anything. Kidnapped? What the fuck? Are we in a horror movie? Little Bean didn't expect that she and her sister would be kidnapped. Calm down. Let me see where we are. Then Pudding quickly got up and found that they were in a cold warehouse. Pudding looked around. There was only a small skylight and she couldn't reach it. Sis, are we still in Sea City? I'm not sure. Our phones and watches were taken, Pudding calmly replied. What the fuck? Then we're dead meat? Little Bean was dumbfounded. Don't panic. Since these people managed to kidnap us in front of Mommy and Daddy, they must have planned this for a long time. I suspect that they're after the ransom money. After all, the whole country knows that our family is rich, Pudding analyzed. There are so many rich people. Why would they kidnap just us? Aren't they a little too lucky? Little Bean said sarcastically. Sure, don't be so noisy. Let me see what's going on. Then Pudding walked to the door and banged on it loudly. Is anyone there? Someone come. I'm hungry. I want to eat. Sure enough, the door opened in less than a minute. A man with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks looked at the two of them with shifty eyes. Little brat, what are you shouting for? I'm hungry. I want to eat. Hee hee, you're still in the mood to eat? Do you know where this is? The man smiled. I don't care where it is. You have to feed us. If we starve to death together, you won't get the huge ransom. Oh. Not bad, you actually know about the ransom? The man was a little surprised. He couldn't imagine that this was said by a child who looked less than 3 years old. Bring me some food and water. Cut the crap, Pudding said coldly. I want teriyaki chicken, Little Bean added. You still want to eat drumsticks? Do you think this is a restaurant? The man was annoyed. Dahai, go and get some lunch boxes for the two brats. The man ordered, and the other man immediately brought 2 lunch boxes over and placed them directly at the door. Who are you? Why did you capture us? Pudding glanced at the man and asked. What does it have to do with me? Who's your boss? Do we know each other? Little brat, you're still too young to get information from me. Don't worry, you'll find out soon enough. Hee hee, let your parents worry for a while. It'll be easier to negotiate later. Then the man laughed and locked the door. Pudding lowered her head and walked over with the lunch boxes. Little Bean, eat first. Keep your strength up so we can find a chance to escape. Chapter 1973. Sis, can we really find a chance to escape? Little Bean was obviously surprised by Pudding's words. Even if we can't, we have to. We can't just sit here and wait for death, right? But I think Mommy and Daddy will be worried sick if they find out that we're missing. Little Bean puffed out her cheeks and stared at her sister with her big round eyes. Mommy and Daddy will definitely find us. They're so smart. Don't worry, Pudding comforted her sister. But sister, won't we be killed before Mommy and Daddy arrive? They'll kill you first. Pudding glanced at her sister indifferently. But Little Bean was obviously not convinced. People are afraid of fame and pigs are afraid of being fat. You're so fat, of course they'll kill you first, Pudding joked. Qin Zhao Zhao, your joke isn't funny at all. Plus, you're still joking with me at a time like this? Aren't you a bit too relaxed? Little Bean sweated. I'm just kidding. Don't be so nervous. Come, let's eat. We'll talk about it after we're full. Then Pudding led her sister to the corner of the warehouse. The two of them each had a box of lunch. Holding the box in their small hands, they looked a bit sad. This is for you. More. After Pudding opened the box, she saw that there were only 2 dishes. One was braised pork that looked greasy, and the other was stir-fried spinach. The food was really bad. In Little Bean's words, even the chickens, ducks, geese and dogs at home wouldn't eat this kind of food that looked like pig food. Maybe it was because they bought it for too long, so it was a bit cold. Sis, there's only 2 pieces of meat. How about you? Little Bean looked at her sister with puppy eyes. I don't like meat. I'm sick of it. Vegetables are good. They have vitamins. Then Little Bean began to eat with big bites. You're always so two-faced. I know you love me, but will it kill you to say it out loud? Seriously. How can you say you have a temper like Daddy? I think you're worse than Daddy. Daddy always confesses to Mommy. Little Bean complained about her sister's personality. Please, Chin Mumu. Daddy and Mommy are husband and wife and we're sisters. How can we compare? Idiot. Little Bean. The two sisters chatted, quarreled, and ate. Time passed quickly. The most important thing was that Little Bean wasn't that scared anymore because she was with her sister. Pudding gave all the meat to Little Bean. Afraid that Little Bean would feel cold, she sat in the corner and hugged her tightly. Tell her something funny that you saw in a book or on TV. On the other hand, Huisi was looking through the twins' phones. These two brats actually have such an advanced mobile phone. He found it a little unbelievable that the two little guys were holding the most advanced mobile phones on the market. Boss, it's almost time. Can we call for the ransom? The shifty-eyed man walked over and smiled. What's the hurry? How are they doing? Huisi asked impatiently. She's in good condition. She said she was hungry, so I brought her some food and water. There's such a thing? As expected of a child with an abnormally high IQ, to be able to remain so calm. Boss, who do you think we should call? We've been investigating for a long time and we've learned a lot. These twins are not only Huamin and Chinchu's pets, but they're also Suyu's favorite. Can we extort both at the same time? One of Huisi's men suggested. You're tuning in to the Biao's Wuxiao Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.